Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Alright, YouTube, it's Mr. Mean coming at you this fine January 2nd at about 9 o'clock a.m. in kinda cold and gloomy Beaumont, Texas. A blast from the past today for our video du jour. I'm off today, got a job interview, looking forward to it. But I wanted to rip out another video since I got the whole day off with no wife, no kid. Not that I don't love my family, I do, but it makes it hard to do these videos when you got to take care of a little one. But anyway, today's video RPG is a blast from the past. Many, many years ago, around April of 1991. So we're talking over 20 years ago. Guardians, the heroic game of high adventure. This was published originally, if I remember correctly, and it's been a minute, in a box set. And I had that box set, and over the years I lost it. I don't know where it went. And what was cool is it came with this book in the box, and in the 90s, so it was the year of box games was a big thing. And it came with a sheet of character sheets. There is a character sheet in the back of the book. It's very basic. There is nothing amazing about this. Go online, you'll have a hard time finding one. Although you can find them. You just got to dig a little deep for them, but you can find it. But it came in a box set, and it came with an adventure called Freedom Union, which was an intro with a little comic in it, and it's several adventures on it, all prefaced by a comic kind of thing, and then of course all of your NPCs and or PCs, if you wanted to use them, all statted out, all the villains statted out. So it was really cool. It was very well done. Freedom Union was their pre-done heroes, so you could use them, and then of course the organization source book. Coming soon from Dark Tower Limited, the organization source book. I don't believe this book ever saw the light of day. I don't know. I could be wrong. If I am, if you've got a copy, let me know. What's cool is, so this is a bunch of adventures. You don't need this to play the game. This is all you need. This is a percentage-based system, and in my opinion, it holds up to today. You could run this right now, and it would run just fine. They go through telling you how to make a character. I mean, that cover art, first of all, that's evocative of, four-color superhero, Silver Age, current. I mean, the art in here is very, very good. And it borderlines on different styles. There's some that's comedic. There's some that's very serious and very dark. And then there's just some that's like four-color comic. There's an alien holding up a large gold nugget, and it says, "I do not understand this dollar thing. Will not this gold do just as well?" And it's a dude at a burger joint, and an alien trying to get a hamburger. So it goes, the gamut from comedic to serious. I mean, if that doesn't scream Incredible Hulk, I don't know what does. And like I said, the art is fantastic in my opinion. It's not consistent, but it's consistent in its inconsistency. Does that make sense? Hope it does. In other words, there's only a couple of artists in the book, and they do the art throughout the book. And it goes in, there's a comic, for like Uther Pendragon. So if you want to do medieval, you could. I mean, this little book wrapped up in 26 pages plus a front and back character sheet, gives you everything that you would want to run an RPG. Now, is it all inclusive? No, because this was published in 1991. It was originally published by Starchild Publications. Somewhere within the 91, Starchild became Dark Tower Enterprises. And if I remember correctly, because the book says down here at the bottom, it says Starchild. But if I remember correctly, the box set said Dark Tower, and it had it looked like a Rook's Tower, Dark Tower. And I'm not sure if the names inside of here are the same. James Perrin, I believe it is. Creative director is Gideon. Executive editor is James Perham, Perham. I don't even know if these guys are still in the business. Contributing artist is Gideon, Andy Demmett, Kevin Van Hook, Christina Wald, and Kurt Metz, M-E-T-Z. These guys did a great job. This is obviously a small press company. Dark Tower put out a couple of games. They had another one called Justifiers, which was very cool. I have them all in PDF. I have a couple of the books. They're hard to find nowadays. And it was basically anthropomorphic sci-fi. You want to play an armadillo man, in the future, you could. Drive-Thru RPG has them. You can buy them all as PDFs. They're not the greatest quality, but again, they're also over 20 years old, and the original source files are unavailable, I'm sure. Who knows where they are, if they even exist. I doubt they exist, but they're out there. You can buy this on Drive-Thru RPG. I'll make sure I put a link in the show notes at the bottom, because if you're looking for a good, definitive 4-color superhero game that's easy and light, but focuses on the heroes, this is a good game, believe it or not. Like I said, I honestly feel that this game holds up just today as well as Mutants and Masterminds. Is it as in-depth and crunchy as Mutants and Masterminds or Palladium Supers? No. This game is a lot easier. It is a percentage-based system, a D100. And if I remember correctly, you want to roll equal to or lower than whatever your percentage is. You get a couple of attributes, and then, of course, your skills. You get motivations, character classes, your attributes, statistics, and modifiers. Oh my, that's the actual name of the session. And there's the book is full of all these little funny little pictures. Like I said, some serious, some goofy. Buicks are heavier than they look. Anonymous Guardian, and there's what appears to be a super underneath a Buick. So be careful what you're trying to catch. You have some statistics and their formula, and they tell you how to go through it. Like I said, it is a percentage system. You build your character from a points-buy system. You get so many points to build your character. You have character classes. You have a guardian, a vigilante, and agents, hunters, freelancers, rogues, and brutes. Non-player characters are broken down into minions and villains and others. Which can be any deviation of, mutants and brutes and rogues and so on and so forth. So basically any PC class can be a minion. You get motivations, so how to make your character, your origin of life. Are you an alien life form? ALF, which they actually do say ALF in here, believe it or not. It's just a really good system. Very easy. Your attributes were constitution, intelligence, wisdom, strength, agility, dexterity, and presence. And again, they were all percentage based and pretty cut and dry. Base skill level, modifier, balance points. That's what they call it. BPs, balance points. You get X amount of balance points to build your character. You also had a chart. You had a 3 to an 18, so 3d6 you would roll, and that would tell you how many powers and stuff you had. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you rolled a 9. You would get 3 superpowers, any powers. But let's say, argument's sake, you rolled a 14. You'd get 2 superpowers, but no miscellaneous powers. And player's option. If you don't have to take all the powers that you are allowed. So if you had a concept for a character and you had 5 powers, but you only needed 3, you don't have to take the other 2, which, that's pretty much, you can come and go as you want there. Note, if you roll triple 2s, 3s, 4s, or 5s on 3d6, select an extra power of any type, which is kind of cool. So your balance points, Captain Incredible is one heck of a guy. He can bound tall buildings in a single mighty leap. 2 if his back goes out. Bounce bullets off his bulging biceps like nobody's business. Bend steel girders with his eyelids. He's invincible, invulnerable, indomitable, and any other word beginning an N you can think of. He is also as interesting as watching plastic fruit rot. In other words, he's too powerful, so he's boring. And that's where balance points come in. Attributes divided by, let's see, are designed to keep your characters humble, making the game more interesting for all concerned. Balance points are deducted for qualities such as superpowers, which enhance your character, and disadvantages your character possesses gain balance points. The object is to reach equilibrium, 0 balance points, so your character's powers and weaknesses balance out. Your character begins with a balance point total equal to the total of all your attributes divided by 10, or attributes divided by 10. If any additional BPs are needed to purchase powers, you must balance them against disadvantages. Your goal should be to have 0 BP. So basically, yeah, you build the character you want, you divide it by 10, that's your balance points. Now you need to take disadvantages to bring that down to 0. So it's pretty cool. So you could make Uber Super Dude, but you're going to have a lot of disadvantages. And of course, if you have points left over, they turn into a negative on your dice rolls because it's a percentage-based game. So say you have 15 points left over on the positive, you're going to subtract 15 from everything you roll. So that could be ugly. So obviously you want to get as close to 0 as you can. And of course, you buy your powers with your starting attributes, and then you go from there. So it's kind of neat. I mean, you just you start as a percentage, and then you have some statistics that are based off of the following formula. So for your body, your mental strength, your resilience, your damage bonus, your speed, your base to strike, they are all based off of your core abilities. And then you go from there. So for your attributes, you roll D100 7 times, and you place them as you wish. One score can be discarded and raised to 65 automatically. If a character's attributes total less than 320, we suggest you roll a character again, or don't get too attached to them. So you take a D100, you roll it 7 times. You can replace one score with a 65 if you get like a 30 or something. If you don't equal 320, they recommend you re-roll. So they want you to have a competent character, but there's a lot of fun in playing a flawed character, that kind of thing. So, and then of course you divide your attributes by 10. That's going to give you your balance points. That's how many disadvantages you need to take to get back down to 0, because you're going to any powers you buy. That's how many points you have to build your character. That's just your attributes. Then you can buy super strength for 40 balance points, and that would subtract from your total. So obviously the higher you roll, the more balance points you're going to have, but you don't want any points left over, so you're going to have to take disadvantages. And that's how you build your character. It's not terribly difficult. And then it's a percentage based off of your skills are based off your attributes, and then those skills will give you a bonus, and then you go from there. So you buy skills and levels, and they go from, it depends on certain skills. Street fighting, martial arts go from 1 to 15. Skill use and character careers. The Guardian RPG is a skill-based system, and like most, it relies on character careers to determine a character's fundamental skills. Be sure to add up the character's base skill level onto these percentages. Brute class characters receive no skills. If you receive a skill twice, always take the higher skill percentage. Do not add them together. So like one of the first things you get is basic training. The following skills are automatic to every character in Guardian except brutes and alien life forms. Brutes have no skills, and alien characters have their own group of basic skills. Add the character's base skill level to these percentages. So basic math, 50%. Driving, 30%. First aid, so on and so forth. And so that becomes your skill level, and then that's what you need to roll equal to or less than on a D100, plus or minus modifiers. There's also, if I remember correctly, there is a starting adventure in here. There's a game master section. It's like a page and a half. Yes, there is a starting adventure in here. There's some bad guys and NPCs that you could use as starting characters. Let's see, what is it? What's the starting adventure? The Mouth That Roared, an introductory scenario for Guardians, and it was written by Gideon in 1991. He also did the art. It also has experience, how you level up. Vehicle combat is in here. I mean, for 127 pages, everything you need is in here. And then, of course, you can get a book of adventures, and I believe there's 5 or 6 adventures in here. There's no index, if I remember correctly. It starts with a comic, and then it goes introductory, important stuff. Read this. The Freedom Union Adventure Companion is an odd sort of animal. It is a game, or is it a comic? Or is it two books in one? The answer is yes. Yes, and a resounding yes. FUAC, as we are lovingly referring to it, Freedom Union Adventure Compendium, is a support module for the Guardians RPG that employs sequential art as a narrative form. Put it in plain English, we're using comic book art to tell a story in FUAC. To use this module, we suggest the GM read through the comic section first. This will give you an idea for the situation the characters face, how they work and react together, etc. Then you select the aspects of the story you want to use. What threats must the player characters face? The comic section can be used as an example of events leading up to the story. Now you can show the players as well as tell them about it. Remember, however, that we do not expect you to run the scenarios exactly as it is written. It's a comics as written in the comic section. Some of the action depicted in the comic sections is unlikely to occur in gaming terms, although you are invited to try. Think of the comic sections as what might happen if the player characters always made their dice rolls. The comic sections cannot replace a good GM, however. Use them as a tool to bring new depth and substance to your adventures. We've created the characters and shown you one possible path the story might take. Now it's your turn to rewrite our story any way you can imagine. You're not just reading the comics anymore. Now you're playing them. So that's a little preface in here. This is a pamphlet size. Like I said, there's more art than there is text, or more comic book than there is text. There's not even a page count, so I'm not going to sit here and count all the pages. But it's pretty much got everything you want. Freedom Union issue number 2, or number 1, coming May 1992. 32 pages of full computer-enhanced color every 60 days. Well, that never happened. There's the Dark Tower logo right there, if you can see that. So they went from Star Child to Dark Tower. Guys, it's a fun game. If you're a Supers fan like I am, it's one of my favorite genres. It's my favorite genre to play in. This is a great game. Mutants and Masterminds is one of my all-time favorite superhero games, and it's a good game. The crunch in it is unbelievable. It can take you hours to make a character. It can take you 5 minutes to make a character if you use something like Hero Lab, but it's a complicated game. It can be as complicated or as simple as you like. It's a good game. This is that game simplified by 100. It's very easy to run. It's very easy to play. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. It's pretty simple. It's basic addition and subtraction, a little bit of division in there. And I mean, this is the granddaddy of them. I mean, 1990, 1991, 92. I mean, Champions was out. Super World was out. Super Game was obviously the very first superhero RPG. I think that's about it. I don't think there was Marvel Superheroes. I think didn't come out till like 94 or 95. Could be maybe a little sooner, but not much. I think Freedom Union's one of the first. I'll have to look and see when Marvel Superheroes came out, because that's another classic. I never really got to play it, believe it or not. As much as I love superheroes, I just wasn't into the system. My friends tried to show me, and I just couldn't get into it. I didn't like Champions either. Was not a fan of Champions. I did like this. I didn't find this till much later. I found this game probably in the late 90s. When I got my first box set. I found it at there used to be a little store in Vallejo, California called Ian's Games. It was in this little dying strip mall. And the owner's name was Ian, and he just had boxes and boxes of games. And he had new stuff, but mostly it was all used stuff. He'd buy collections from people on eBay, because at the time eBay was really popular to buy things. We didn't have Amazon. We didn't have Barnes & Nobles online. The internet was just firing up. So none of those online retailers existed. And Ian's was the place to go, man. You went there. We'd go every Saturday if we could, or at least once a month, and would just gonzo out on old stuff. Me and my good friend Brian and Angelo would go there all the time, and we would just Google over stuff. I mean, it was amazing. It was a great store. I looked online to see if they had a web presence or if they were around, and apparently they're out of business. So c'est la vie. But that, my friends, is Guardians, the game of heroic high adventure. Like I said, you can still buy it on DriveThruRPG as a PDF. You might even be able to get it as print on demand. I didn't see that option. I only saw the PDF, but I could be wrong. But do yourself a favor. Pick this one up. I think it's like a whopping $10. I don't even know. Let me see. $9.99. You can't, I mean, $10, you got yourself a complete game. And you can't go wrong. It's a fun game. If you like 4-color superheroes and that's your jam, then you're going to be happy with this. You will post in the comments and say, John, Mr. Mean, thank you. Thank you for turning me on to Guardians, because it's awesome. Great to play with your kids or young ones, because it's great math, simple math. The kids will pick it up pretty quick, and it's superheroes. You can't go wrong. So I just wanted to fanboy over this, because like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite superheroes. Mine's pretty well used. I'm afraid to actually play with it. I might actually go and buy the PDF so that I can print my own copy, because I'm afraid this is just going to fall apart. The glue binding is gonna fall apart, although it's actually holding up pretty well. But I would like to print off a copy, and keep that as my read copy, because every once in a while I like to go back and read my old RPGs, and this is one of the ones that I'm seriously thinking about running it or giving a copy to my friend Joshua. He's a huge superheroes fan, and let him run it, because he runs a good Supers game, and I like to play a Supers game. So anyway, guys, that's Mr. Mean signing off on this Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018, a new year. I hope your dice roll well for you, and that you have lots of prosperity and fun stuff in your life. And as always, peace and hair grease. And remember, be nice.